Goodness gracious, are we back? I am so sorry about that, guys. Literally, I was going through and answering questions for like 7 minutes straight, and it said on my end that the stream was still active, and then I went and looked through YouTube, and it was like, your channel's done. And I'm like, are you absolutely kidding me? So it just died on me? That's so lame. Let me go to the studio and make sure that we've got everything running properly. God, went for 41 minutes and then the stream just died. What a shame, man. What a shame. All right, well, we're active now. Let's just make sure I can go and see on the live. That's so lame. Yep, I can hear it. Dude, I am so sorry about that, guys. Shout out to everyone coming back to the stream. Wow, I was literally going through questions. And it was about 7 minutes before I realized the stream crashed. Koga had messaged me and said, yeah, it crashed. And I'm like, are you kidding me, man? God, what was the last question I read? Here, let me go quickly and watch the video and see what was the last question I read that popped up. Yep, I can hear it. Let me see. Last question.
I'm Tammy, and I'm from Roseburg, and I'm probably right in the top 10.
All right, let me see. Last question before stream crashed. Quite a bit. I mean, let's take a look at the near mint value. Yeah, I think very undervalued card, considering that it's a promo that came out. All right, so the last question, wow, I just went into a full rant for 5 minutes talking about Hidden Fates versus Shining Fates prints, and then the stream crashes. Are you absolutely kidding me? That's, Jesus loves me, man. I'm so sorry about that. Wow, that was the last thing you guys heard. Wow. All right, well, so I went into a full-on rant, basically, that no one got to hear. Talking about how the okay, let me go back because I don't want to mess anything up. But the last question that I had was let me see. Oh my God, I missed. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure. Okay, so the last two questions that I answered that you guys did not hear, awesome, love to hear it, is what is John asks, gosh dang it, John asked the question about the Shining Fates versus Hidden Fates rant. Basically the rant that I was kind of talking about, the question was asked, which got reprinted more, Shining Fates versus Hidden Fates. My answer was Hidden Fates, far none, because we've had about 3 or 4 reprints of the ETBs versus Shining Fates. We had our initial wave 1, 2, and then just had another reprint after the initial wave, and that was about a year later. So Hidden Fates got way more reprints. And then you also had the 10 reprints. You had about 3 or 4 of those that I personally can think of back when I just got back into the hobby for the Sun and Moon era. And that was after it had its initial reprints. And then you also talk about, you know, Hidden Fates had the pin reprints. We haven't seen any reprints outside of the ETBs as far as I know for Shining Fates. So I would say Hidden Fates has been massively reprinted way more, and you still see the value of the items still be extremely high because of the demand. So that if that doesn't go to show you of an argument for demand in a set, I mean, Hidden Fates being reprinted in the ground and still staying strong really just goes to show you the love for the set. So that's the short variation. I went on a 5-minute rant basically explaining that, but that's the short answer. The next thing I said was Thaddeus asked the question, which of course, actually no, I responded to Hashcat saying, I'm sorry about it, brother. I was having issues. Maybe I didn't see your comments at the start of the stream because I wasn't able to see comments at first. And so it probably got kind of lost in it. So I apologize for that. And then I went to Thaddeus and said, he asked me, is it worth sorting through bulk and reselling? He's got about 10 to 15,000 is what he said. I had mentioned personally speaking, that I myself have gone through over time, I want to say about 60 to 70,000 bulk cards. I've sold, I have about 30,000 currently that I'm sitting on, 30 to 40,000 I'm sitting on, and I want to say about another 20,000 plus that I have gone through and sold whether it be through TCG Player or just, you know, through other outlets. So for me personally, it was worth it because I would, you know, I like to make money, and for me, missing out on potentially, you know, sorting through my bulk and missing a card that's worth $1, $2, $3, like, or upwards of $5, like for a trainer card, then I feel like I'm literally just losing money. And as you get older and older into sets, then I just feel like I'm losing more and more money over time by not, you know, going through and sorting bulk. Because I mean, you look at like Sun and Moon era bulk, a lot of it is ridiculous expensive when you think about how it's compared to the ultra modern bulk. So I think that honestly sorting bulk is always worth it, especially once you hit TCG direct levels. I mean, you're talking about if you bought a card, let's say hypothetically for a penny, and then sold it for 5 pennies after fees, you're saying, wow, look, I made 4 pennies, but that's like a 5x return. And if you're literally doing that at like 1,000 times, and then you're on TCG Player Direct and you're making those sales, and you get like 1,000 orders that have like 5 different cards, look, you just made like $500, $1,000, and typically speaking, it's only going to take you a couple hours to ship everything out. So it's quick and easy the way in which they do the direct program. So that's what I would personally say on how I would go about doing it. I just want to make sure, okay, everything is still all caught up. I know, so the chat on the left or under my head is going to be dead for a while, and that's because I'm making sure that I don't refresh it because I want to make sure I answer everyone's questions without missing it. And then I responded to Purple. I said, what's up, Purple? Thanks for stopping by. I love how I'm like trying to relive it, but I feel bad because I had so much enthusiasm at first, and I'm not going to fake the enthusiasm now, but yeah, shout out to Purple for stopping by. It's been a while. Glad you're here, brother. And then Hashcash said, recently received PC ETBs from Pokemon Center, both sealed were ripped. Have you ever dealt with that? I've not dealt with it from PC, but I also buy in cases is probably why. That's why I like buying in cases, because it's a lot less likely for that to happen. It says the stream briefly reconnected. It says it disconnected and reconnected. I just want to make sure that everyone's still here. I'm going to refresh, make sure it didn't go dead. Nope, it says we're live still. It says we are still live. Goodness gracious, man. Okay, cool, sweet. Yeah, it says we're still live. Just want to make sure if you guys want to test out in the chat that I can see. Make sure you guys are all still here. Because I want to keep ranting, but you know how that goes. Alright, let me go to the live control room as well. Man, I don't know what it is about my internet right now. What's the weather outside? Is it like, what's the weather? It says that it's not even that bad. I don't know what's going on. It's not even raining or anything. All right, we're back. All right, cool, sweet. Goodness gracious, I'm so sorry about that, guys. That's so upsetting. You had to rejoin. Goodness gracious, this is so upsetting. But yeah, to answer your question, Hashcatchem, yeah, I've dealt with it from opening up cases even sometimes. So it's hard because the wrapping on the ETBs are so delicate. You have to be extremely careful. So it's unfortunate. It's a bummer. You know, obviously I wish it didn't happen, but it's just a reality of the situation. Sometimes it happens. You can't really fault them. And because I myself have bought as well as sold, you know, with the rips in them, because that's just how they came to me. It's like, if it's a small rip, as long as it's not damaged, then what are you going to do? Like, they can't just, you know, say, hey, it's defected because it has a small little rip in it, and all of a sudden the value is gone. Like, obviously from a collector's perspective, it's different. So, you know, it's just a tough situation all around, personally speaking. So, but what's up, Plebisaurus? How's everyone doing? Hey, shout out to you for stopping by. Is it worth doing that, writing the waves about the fees that you pay, like eBay fees and PayPal, and then paying tax towards the end of the year? I would say that's a great question, Angelo. It really just comes down to, in my personal opinion, how much time and effort you want to put into writing the wave, you know, so and so forth. Just want to, of course, double check, make sure we haven't crashed again. So far, it has not. So far, yeah, of course, I'll always get back to you. I'm sorry about that, Hashcash. I really do appreciate you. I really hate missing people's questions. I try not to, but riding the wave, like I said, it really comes down to how much effort and time you want to put into it, and really how much you can refine the riding the wave, especially considering I know that if you go to a lot of Facebook groups, you can actually sell and avoid all the fees, and you can say you're charging shipping, you can say you're not charging shipping. So, but Facebook group specifically is actually a really good place to offload a lot of your product at a good price, whether you want to charge it or not. And you can always calculate too, what are the fees on eBay? What are the fees on TCG Player? What am I going to be able to sell it for on TCG Player? What am I going to be able to sell it for on my eBay, or on my eBay page, or on a Facebook? So being able to kind of know what your kind of margins are going to be, I think is very important, because there are some times where I won't sell on my site because I know that I'm going to make more and get more exposure selling on TCG Player than I would if I were to sell on my site. So like, for example, let's say I remember at one point I got a reprint for Evolving Skies, and the price of Evolving Skies booster boxes were going for around 190 plus. I remember at the highest point I sold one for 196 on TCG Player, and on my site I was selling it for around 150. At that point, you're saying to yourself, even after fees and everything included, I still walked away with more money on TCG Player, and it just was worth it. So being able to kind of calculate that, and that's off of owning my own website with my own different fee structure. So that's kind of the things you need to really factor in. So that's my opinion. I think riding the wave is 100% worth it as long as you know what you're doing. So, but it just takes time to really learn. And also following my YouTube channel is very helpful, considering that I know when most of the wave reprints happen. So being able to know that kind of stuff is also part of the game. But continuing into questions, want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Anyways, Pokemon, good luck. See ya. Hey, well, thanks for stopping by as always, Purple. Oh, snap. How late am I? Late enough to where the stream clashed, Baby Kings, but I'm really stoked that you stopped by. I appreciate you, brother. Ash Crash, my celebration one was open. Yeah. Ooh, you got a Blaziken VMAX alt art? Sick. Shout out to that. Kinsiki, I suggest that those that don't want to sell when reprints occur, that you wait to the last reprint to buy. That's not a bad idea, but my only fear with that, Kinseki, is if you see something like what happens with Evolving Skies, the price will keep going up, and then the time to buy at the reprints will also change as well. Because if you're saying to yourself, look, I can get it for as low as $100, and then it goes all the way up to 190, reprint happens, and then it goes back down to 120, then you missed out on buying it for $100. So I would say just find your price points that you like to buy, and then buy it at that, and then just hold long term. I'll leave you with this. In light of recent events such as what happened in the Flesh and Blood Monarch, the increase in printability, I don't know about that, but I would love to absolutely see. There's a lot of discussion. I would love to hear about that. Jones Drew says, come back and live in Arizona. Hey, I don't know what part you live in Arizona, but dude, it is nice, that's for sure. There's a lot of junk slabs of cards with a crazy. Yeah, dude, there's a lot of junk slab cards, that's for sure. What's up, Ricardo? How you doing, brother? Thanks for by. Easy. Summer is brutal. Almost 110 degrees last year. Got out of Phoenix, moved San Diego. Perfect weather here year round. Yeah, well, that's the thing, Babe Cakes. Comparing like, and this might sound super controversial to say, but comparing San Diego weather to Phoenix weather is like telling me that you think there are more doors in the world than there are like wheels. Like, it just is not a debate. Like, there's more wheels. No, I'm just kidding. I made that joke. I just wanted to say that just to throw just to make a joke out of it. But in all honesty, like, it's hard to compare because like California, specifically Southern California, it's hard to compete. Like, it is legit. You cannot compete with the weather down there. So obviously you're not going to be able to do that. But yeah, comparing it to like the weather up here in Bend during summers, it gets super hot, and you're talking about altitude, which is going to affect the heat way differently. So but I think singles will be amazing still. I love my single Pokemon, won't over so things, and even if they do look at evolutions, of course sealed is more, but you feel all the hit cards from the sets. I think I understand what you're saying about what you meant by that, Justin, but yeah, no, if you love the cards, it's at the end of the day, collecting is the most important thing. Them gold cards that are in energy, yeah, you like those? I mean, gold card, I know a buddy that is obsessed with gold energy cards. Print run, cough, evolution, print run. I can see people overpaying so much that they will pretty much never be able to recover their money. Yeah, dude, that's why I'm very, 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 very much skeptical when it comes to buying singles. It's really hard for me. If I am buying singles, it's definitely from older sets. For those people that are in the Discord, you've seen what I've been doing with a lot of the Diamond and Pearl era stuff. Huge fan of that era. They printed the Vivid Voltage ETB will be where they don't reprint Evolving Skies ETBs. I agree with you on that one, Shovels, 100%. Graded, I'm buying for $10 a slab. Where are you buying for $10 a slab? It's probably not a reputable company, but I think I'm understanding what you're saying. I don't think the market can sustain so much scamming. I think it can. Markets always learn to adapt. Think of all the promo singles that are not going to get reprinted for the most part. I see what you're saying, Justin. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, oh, I 100% agree. If you're talking about the Ho-Oh, yeah, being able to get these and the value you can get, oh, yeah, if this is what you're talking about, 100%. We've seen print XY Evo. Look at it now. Yeah, no, I mean, you guys are literally just, preaching to the choir over here. Did you have caught off guard with celebrations going out of print so quickly? Great question, Low IQ. That's his name. Me, Low IQ. That's so funny. Yeah, I actually did get thrown off because it was not something that I expected. The last time we can really look to this was Generations. Generations also, they did something very similar. So it's kind of hard to know though, because it's like Generations 2016, and then obviously comparing it to like something like an Evolution set, but Evolutions wasn't a specialty set like Generations. So it kind of threw me off guard because at first I wasn't expecting it, but I'm like, they did this with Generations, so it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, we're living in a different time, and we all forget that, print run wise, things really haven't changed when you look at it. They've always printed to demand. Nothing's changed. Demand will still go up over time as long as the hobby's healthy. So, at first it caught me off, and then when I did a little bit more research, and I was like, wow, this is actually not that, I mean, it makes sense. So that's kind of how I would say that. Pokemon Go set, hit or miss. I'm really apprehensive. Ricardo, I am right there with you. To give it retrospect, I have to put in orders within 3 days, I think it is from now, for my Pokemon Go allocations from one of my distributors, and I've yet to do it because I'm so nervous about the set because I don't know what's in it, and the fact that they're telling me I have to put it in now before I even know what's in it, and if it's going to be a Pokemon Go set and I'm just left holding it, I'm going to be so sad. Charizard V Alt will stay at $200 a card for years to come. I don't know. Which one are you talking about? I mean, there's a lot of alt arts. Are you referencing the one for Brilliant Star? If it gets a reprint, I wouldn't say that necessarily is always 100% guaranteed. There's going to be a negative feedback loop, and certain modern singles are going to be a legit black hole investment. It will take you 2 to 3 years to recover price initially. I mean, it's entirely possible. You expect VV or DA to outperform? I think VV will outperform. Do you think that in 20 years, sorry, I'm trying to go through and speed it up. I apologize because I'm literally reading old questions and not the current up-to-date ones. Do you think that in 20 years, the original base set will lose value more or less because it will be forgotten? Kind of like the blue backs and green backs. Let me read that one more time. Do you think in 20 years, the original base set will lose value more or less because it will be forgotten? Definitely a good question to ask, Babe Cakes. That's a great question. I haven't had someone ask me that. It's really hard to say. I would say there's so much nostalgic value, but yeah, over time, the nostalgic value will begin to wear off. But the only thing I would say with Pokemon is if you take a look at Charizard, they've always just printed Charizard in so many new sets. So I'd say the character value is going to what keeps, it relevant, because even hypothetically, let's say Pokemon 100 years from now, or like you said, 20 years from now, I mean, a lot of the people that still collected are still going to be around as a kid. They're just going to be in their 40s, 50s, 60s. So it's really one of those things where it's like, I would say that I don't think that you could potentially see that happen as long as the demand over time continues to rise in the hobby. And even if you want to look at the hobby from 100 years from now, let's say it just stays exponential. As long as they keep printing out the same characters, people are going to want to collect all those same characters. I have insider information. I don't know. Seal's obviously more bizarre, but what do you want the sealed for? To pull these amazing cards? I just like displaying sealed personally, Justin. I think sealed's great. That's just my personal opinion. So I just got an email that the supplier is getting a case of Brilliant and Evolving for $680 a case. How much you want to order? If it was you, your distributor is wait. Who's your supplier? And $680 a case? I mean, for Evolving, $680 a case? Obviously, if it were me, as much as I can, where are you getting these numbers? All you guys that keep saying you're getting all these things for so cheap, that's $113 a freaking booster box. Hey man, if you can get it for that cheap, then shout out to you, but that would be insane if that's true. I'd say buy as much as you can and sell as quickly as you can. How would you compare the amount of printing we saw WotC era compared to modern? I mean, there's no doubt that the amount of print we had in WotC era is so much less. I mean, I don't have to look at the numbers to know it's so much less compared, and that's just because the amount of people that are currently in the hobby, you know, the adaptation of the Pokemon company and the overall money that they have, you know, expanded in value from a company's perspective. I mean, I think they did over $5 billion in revenue last year, and I don't know what their revenue numbers were, of course, when they first came out, but you got to tell yourself that they're probably using that money to reinvest over time and continue to grow as they continue to, you know, as they continue to just, you know, gain more people into the hobby. So that's just what I would kind of say. I can't give you exact numbers, but I think that we have a pretty good picture that initially speaking, the demand was so high when it first came out that you did have a large amount of product printed. Obviously, it's not as reflected on what you saw graded wise when you look at like Shadowless, but when you take a look at like Unlimited, you see the amount that were printed in regards to a population reports, especially like take a look at the Charizard, for example. I think that really shows you how much there is, ultimately speaking. But of course, at the end of the day, really when discussing it, it really is just going to come down to the fact that ultra modern is going to continue to scale, unlike of course products that are no longer in print. So it's going to be more for modern, but at the same exact time, you know, demand will continue, as I mentioned many times before, to just kind of, you know, play its part, and Pokemon Company will just continue to play their part and just print to demand. Appreciate the input. Yeah, of course. Yeah, like I said, man. Wait, did I already answer your question, right? Poke grinding? No, it says appreciate the input. Are you saying in general? But, yeah, I am getting flooded with questions. Oh my goodness gracious. So sorry. Will alt arts keep their value, or are they going to drop too? Eden, I would say that it depends. If we're talking long term, I think they will do well. But if you're talking short term, depends if they're in print or not. Altards are by far better than rainbows. I do agree. Do you think Shiny Fates ETBs will outperform Brilliant Stars ETBs? Yes, I do. And I think that's because specialty sets historically have outperformed. 5 different types of Charizards and Brilliant Star. Yeah, seriously. All right, there we go. Now I got up to date on the old questions. Now for the new questions. I apologize so much for that. I try to be as orderly as possible, and this is what I do. Part 2. Save. All right, now, new questions. And let me exit out of this, enter back in. I apologize. Now, if I go back to restream, it should pop up. Let me do a quick test, make sure that it's running live. It is indeed running live. I hear a uh-oh. Don't say uh-oh. All right, cool, we're good. All right, we're good. All right, here we go. All right, already answered that. Already answered the rant about Shining Fates. Already just answered about Shining Fates or ETBs versus Brilliant Star. Already answered what Alex said. We've seen XY Evo. Yeah, already answered that. We're back. Had to rejoin. You're live. How much longer do you feel Shining Fates will be in print? I think this was the last Shining Fates print, personally speaking, John Doe. So I would say that you can officially make the argument that it's done after August, but I think we're done right now. Thanks, brother, for getting back to me. Of course, I appreciate you. Sorry, I sound so monotone when I say that, but I'm just trying to burn through. Some of my LGS6s were staying dense and ripped, so won't. Hey, shout out to them if they can. That's pretty sweet. Just getting in what's going on. Let's not forget to mention the long-term boss. No, 100% agree with you, Jonathan. Question I asked before the crash. Do you think the announcement makes most... Already answered that question. How many cases of Shining Fates do you have? I have about 10 cases of Shining Fates, I want to say. If we're talking about ETBs, I have several cases of the Crobats and Dragapults. I have several cases of the Ping collections, and I think I have a couple of the mini tins as well. What are some good margins, like 20%? I think it really depends on what you're talking about. Personally, I try and always shoot for at least 30%, Joey. But of course, that can vary. Sometimes I am lucky if I get 20%, and then sometimes I can walk away with 100% plus margins. Just depends. Nice plug. Where are the cheap VVs at? Wait till the reprint officially happens and then you'll see them. I'm probably going to list them on my site for 45 bucks if you guys are wondering how much I'm going to be selling them for. And maybe as low as 42, but that's kind of what I'm going to put them at for now. Wrote a whole essay, brother, but it's okay. Disregard my question. It doesn't matter. Hey, I think I just went back and responded to it, right? Hopefully, at least I did. Good afternoon, Skippy. Hey, thanks for stopping by, brother. Appreciate you. Hello, geez, some of y'all upset. Just ask the question again. I apologize, guys. I didn't mean this stream to crash. Seriously, I'm so sorry. What's being reprinted? Reprinted, Karam, as far as we know right now, Vivid Voltage ETBs are the next. Oh, sorry, that sounded bad. I'm saying that singles in the sets are amazing, but sealed is obviously. Yeah, 100% agree. What are your thoughts on buying singles from the BS? Are you talking about, I mean, BS, are you saying Burning Shadows? Are you saying Battle Styles? Are you saying Brilliant Star? Are you talking about Brilliant Star? Is that what you mean? I would wait until, personally speaking, Hash Ketchum, their argument that I hear a lot of people make is that there's going to be a reprint sometime in May. So I'd wait till May. And if you don't see the reprint happen, then honestly wait till the reprint. I mean, you could say if you want to, you could wait till May and then buy then if it doesn't get a reprint news. But I would say then it's coming shortly after, I have to imagine, but who knows. The market can withstand constant scamming. Okay, got it. Yeah, no, 100%. The market will always adapt, be purple. And especially considering when you talk about constant scamming, you know, I say the biggest issue I would say with people when it comes to scams is they always blame the market rather than themselves because they don't do enough research. There are so many things such as, you know, eBay protection, buyer protection, PayPal buyer protection, credit card companies. There's so much options for like protecting yourselves against scamming. It just really comes down to like how knowledgeable you are and how much effort you want to put into it. So that's just kind of how I like to look at it, Purple. Got to make sure that you're just doing your own research and knowing what you're purchasing. So, because, you know, and there will always be new and innovative ways to protect against scammers as well, because as scammers get more creative, then it's kind of like with, the Pokemon company, you know, at first weighted packs were a huge issue, and then they made it so that they brought the code cards and you couldn't weight packs up until a certain point. So just trying to get creative with that. I think the last era you could wait was XY, early XY, but I could be wrong. But I'll say this one time. Look at the Rev Leonhardt scammer Paul Pokemon that chart up disgusting and make super margins. I mean, the biggest thing with that, Purple, is they can afford to charge it because people are willing to pay. So it might look like a scam to you, but for some people, they're willing to pay to get a shout out and be a part of a community. So I get it. Do you know what types of products will be coming for Pokemon Go? Absolutely no idea, other than the fact that just the standard, probably pin collection, probably elite trainer boxes, probably ultra premium boxes, probably figure collection boxes. Just the usual, you would say. Just got Evolving Skies for $3 at Target. Wow. I think that the girl that did the price match doesn't like her job. Make sure y'all don't pay over MSRP. I love how you pointed that part out. You know? Whatnot drip. I get what you're saying, Paul. I get what you're saying. But I mean, in my personal opinion, I think the whole thing that happened with Logan Paul was more of, I think it was more of a publicity stunt, because when you say he gets scammed out X amount of money, and then people that don't even care about Logan Paul hear about it, and people that ask me and who don't know anything about Pokemon, then you know the amount of buzz that it's going to generate. So, and he got all his money back. So I think I think it was set up, in my personal opinion. I'm thirsting so hard for Evolving Skies. I feel that one. Guys, this is not healthy for the market. Y'all been warned. I mean, I think you got to take a look at it from this perspective. Do you think that Conor McGregor is healthy for the UFC in regards to the way in which he talks trash about being one of the best fighters of all time, but then you take a look at some of the other fighters that are way better than him, but won't get an opportunity in the octagon because the fact of the matter is they don't, create such a show like him? Or you take a look at other characters in other sports, like, the like LaMelo and some of the other NBA players that sure they're good enough to make it in the NBA, but they're not like LeBron status. You know what I mean? Like, why is it that they get all this shot and they make all this money compared to other players that are better? It's because it brings in content, and content comes into the hobby. So you just got to be able to understand that, you might say it's not good for the hobby because you see that it kind of destroys the integrity, which I can agree to some extent. but also at the same time, it still brings in more people into the hobby. So you have to look at it from like a promoting perspective in regards to marketing. You know, a lot of just, you know, sports, a lot of collectibles, they need that kind of drama involved because that's what really draws people in to want to be a part of it. So that's how I like to compare it to. So, has modern been rising faster percentage than vintage? I think that's a really hard question to answer because it depends on what you're comparing. I would say that if you look at certain cards, vintage in like WotC Shadowless, far, like bar none, has gained way more value in regards to Ultra. I mean, but if you're talking about, you know, sealed boxes, I think that's a little bit different of an argument. But like the Charizard, but even then, I mean, the Charizard peak was $50,000 back in 2016. And then you say to yourself, it went all the way up to 400. I mean, that's about a 8x, 7x return. I mean, they're really hard to say, man. It's all over the place. There's no definitive answer to that, Johnny. And I would love to go through it with you, but it's going to take so much time because there's so many different counter arguments to certain arguments that can be made. You just have to look at the numbers. The answer is yes and no because it just depends because so many things perform so differently. But if you take a look at some of the best performing items, I would say Level X have performed, you know, ridiculously strong, and that they're somewhere in the middle. But you know, that's compared to looking at their highs where literally a year and a half, 2 years ago, you could buy them for, you know, PSA 10s for $50 and then sell them now for 1,000, which is about a 20x return. And you know, you want to say 4 years ago that Charizard at the peak of its price was going for around 40,000, you know, 400,000. It's a 10x return. You know, Level X is 20x returned. So, but that's just because they were undervalued. So you gotta, you know, it's like comparing apples to oranges. You're always going to be able to find something that outperforms something else. Let's talk long-term hold, long-term, short-term, 2 years for Evolving Skies. Again, 1020 plus new printing company. They about to throw in the mix. I mean, obviously it'll go out of rotation this upcoming year. So, I mean, it's hard to say. Let's talk about it. In the long-term versus short-term hold and talk about 10 to 20 years, you could see, I mean, 10 to 20 years, I mean, you can see the booster box go for thousands of dollars, like thousands of dollars when you talk about a lot of eras that were undervalued or a lot of items that were undervalued and, you know, they've only been around for 8, 9, 10 years and they're already in the thousands. So 10 to 20 years, yeah, you could see that go for thousands easily. I'm into Evolving, 140 per case. Hey, that's not a bad price, Jonathan. Booster box, LOL, my bad. No, I get what you meant, Evolving. I know what you meant in regards to Evolving, but yeah, long term, 2 years of Evolving Skies. I mean, 2 years of Evolving Skies, I could probably see it reach a couple hundred after it. Now, two years from now versus 2 years out of print. 2 years from now, I think it could definitely, I could see it get up to 200 2 years from now. But 2 years from out of print, I could see it pushing several $100s. But of course, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not like able to tell the future. But I can tell you that if it's currently in print and it's almost about to push $200, I don't think it's a bold statement to say that a year after it's out of print, it's going to push $200. So I think it's a pretty safe statement to make. But who knows? I could be wrong. I mean, you see Hidden Fates is completely stagnant on ZTB. So you could see a time of stagnation before it really goes up in value. But when it does, if it is stagnant for a while, it'll skyrocket. I'm getting base set 2 booster boxes for 500k. All right, now you guys are just trolling. B scamming happens every market can't be helped. Yeah, I agree. What is the massive reprints? Well, as far as we know right now, we just had reprints for Shining Fates. We just had reprints for Darkness Blaze. We just had reprints for Vivid Voltage ETBs, all of the ETBs, and then potentially Yamamoto. Thanks for stopping by the way. We could see potentially large amount of reprints for booster boxes in the near future. We haven't seen booster box reprints since, I want to say, back in December, November for a lot of the older sets. So, and by older, I mean like the older Sword and Shield block sets. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some Evolving Skies, and, Brilliant Star, Fusion Strike, and other sets get reprinted relatively soon. And you might say, really? Why Fusion Strike? Well, why Battle Styles? they reprinted Battle Styles. If I'm correct, it's the only set that has gotten a reprint outside of its initial waves. I could be wrong, but it had literally wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and then reprint again. I know that we've had our initial 2 waves or 3 waves with Chilling Reign. We've had our initial 2 waves with Fusion. We've had our initial 3 waves with Evolving. And then I can't think of another set. Darkness Ablaze. Darkness only had 2 waves, as well as Vivid Voltage, actually. Vivid Voltage to get reprinted. Right? No, it only had its initial 2 as well. Yeah, no, Vivid Voltage is another one. Yeah, Battle Styles is the most printed set, so I think a lot of people need to take that in consideration. I know a lot of people don't like the set that much, but you got to remember that before it got reprinted, it was as low as 80 and went up to 105. So, or as high as 105 shortly after. So I mean, the set still performs strong for being considered to be one of the worst sets in the era. So I don't know if that, but that I feel like should say something. When there was money to be made, yep, 100%. People, Koga, not really, brother. Not as much. Oh, I see. Yeah, people are like, I'm gonna just disregard this. We're not here to start drama in the chat. Has anyone found a difference between any print runs? Not that we can say hard on paper, but we can just go back and kind of look at the history of what people have discussed in regards to like how print runs during that time have been affected in the future and currently speaking, and how we can use those predictions to predict the future. So, but like I said, nothing on paper. Celebrations any good? Celebrations is great Pokemon. I think it'll perform super strong, especially if we're comparing it to a set like Generations, personally speaking. Darkness Ablaze ETBs for 29. Answer that, Tyrone Smith. I'm getting them for 28. So 29 is $1 more of what I'm buying from my distributor from. So great price, and I think they'll do well long term. Serialized cards, things like that. I think it'd be cool if we got that. Spencer, what's up, brother? Appreciate you being here. How'd the trip go? Trip went, I would say, pretty phenomenally. I love Scottsdale. I love, Gilbert, Chandler area. We're moving there, 100%, no questions asked. It was awesome. Gorgeous weather. So many opportunities of food. It's such a great area in my personal opinion. So I'm excited to move there. Do you think Logan Paul or 25th anniversary contributed more to the boom? Say Logan Paul contributed more to the boom? Wow, that's a great question. I don't think celebrations contributed more to the boom, but I think people are putting too much emphasis on Logan Paul and more along the lines of just influencers in general. Because I can tell you that Pokemon prices before Logan Paul was doing his things were already going up. But if you take people like Miskiff or you take people like Ludwig and a lot of these big streamers, and they did their like openings of Pokemon, they did that, if I'm correct, before Logan Paul, or they were talking about it before. And I was doing all this before like the boom even happened. So I feel like it really just came down to, if anything, in my personal opinion, John Doe, I think the lockdowns are the strongest argument to make of what really caused people to get into it, because the lockdowns gave a bunch of people money to stay at home and not go on vacations with their families, and then they use that money to go through their old hobbies that they used to collect when they were younger, and it gave them time to really relive their childhood by investing in and buying a lot of Pokemon products. So that's what I would say the biggest contributor is. So the answer is neither. Pokemon, I already answered this earlier. As far as it goes, or actually, I didn't answer this. That's a lie, Pokemon. I apologize. Do you think celebrations will reprint? I think it's entirely possible, but I don't think it's 100% certain. I would lean more towards, from what we've heard, there's rumors in May. So I would say that if it does get a reprint in May, which it's potentially possible, I'll say that. I won't say yes or no because I don't have a crystal ball. But after May, I would say it becomes less and less likely. Comms, I'm telling you. Anyways, ran over, love the channel, great community. Don't buy CCC8 evolution cards, just get raw. I appreciate you, Purple, and your rant, brother. Oh my goodness gracious. Is it worth to get local small bookstore toy stores to try and find UPCs? Not sure if these kinds of places receive stock and if they're overlooked by most buyers. I do think that sometimes you can go into like a Barnes and Nobles and you can find a Pokemon product to an extent. Yeah, sometimes they do get overlooked. So I definitely think it's worth it sometimes to go check it out. As far as finding UPCs, that's a great question because I didn't look for Celebrations product at a bookstore because I didn't really need to, but I definitely think it's worth a shot. I mean, you never know, but there are a lot of people that are definitely in the same mindset. So, but it's definitely possible depending upon your area. You can do price match on Pokemon cards at Target. Yeah, Target's the only one that does price matches. I remember right when it was this was during Sun and Moon. This was before Sword and Shield era. I price matched online from GameStop. I did a price match for Unified Minds, Cosmic Eclipse, and I got each pack for 79 cents because there was some listing that had it on GameStop that was sold out apparently. And yeah, I was able to price match it, and I walked away with 100 Pokemon packs and spent $80. So, and they were all blister packs. I remember doing that, and I thought I just walked away with a bandit. And this was like back in like before the pandemic and everything. So, for those people that are like, oh, you were a scalper. No, this was before scalpers were a thing. This was like 2019. So, or at least early 2020 before the pandemic happened. So, no way you're going to find UPCs at locals. They have the smallest allocation. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder, Yamamoto, that's for sure. It's definitely a lot harder to find them, undoubtedly. What about the Umbreon Alt-Art? No matter for reprints? I mean, I think that no matter what happens with the reprints, obviously the value will go down because there's going to be more in circulation, but the value of it it's extremely strong. The artwork's desirable. The value we've seen with it has been extremely high. So I personally think that, you know, if you're talking about from an investment perspective, you're going to gain value on it long term because it's such a great card, and I do think people are going to highly desire it long term. To the point of where you'll see the value go up. Just the question is, would you gain more value investing in that versus gain more value investing in something such as a sealed booster box? Would you say UPCs are already outperforming your expectations? I mean, it's hard to say, John, as far as it goes, because when we talk about UPCs, you have to talk about the initial price in which they were pre-selling for versus what they're going for right now. Because if you talk about the initial price of what they were pre-selling for, they went up for as high as almost $500. Then they crashed down to as low as $225, and they went for now around $353. So as far as it goes, the MSRP price was $90 on those. I was talking about saying that I could see them go for as high as $400. They obviously beat my expectations, so technically speaking, yes. But as far as it goes, the only reason why I was able to make a statement like that is because that value within the items themselves that you can gain from it. And also on top of it being such a specific item, it's harder to print a large amount of them, so there's going to be a smaller print. And then lastly, the next part of that as well is when talking about the fact that they already started off above MSRP, and literally their flat line, bottoming, was double MSRP, just really goes to show you the fact of how much value they have had from out the gate. So I would say initially out the gate, it did not surprise me. Slightly went up. I mean, I would say no. It hasn't surprised me. But even then, we're talking about, once again, it out the gate was above MSRP. So much more. $90 what you buy it for, 120's MSRP. You tell me it's quadruple MSRP to start at. I started off, I'm like, okay, that just makes sense. Goes down to 200. That's still almost double MSRP. So it doesn't really surprise me. And it's going stagnant right now. I mean, it started off high at MSRP, it was at its low above MSRP, and it's still above MSRP. So that's just the biggest thing. So it doesn't surprise me at all. What up, Zachary? How we doing, brother? Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. Jonathan Biggs, what are your thoughts on the original base set cards value decreasing against the modern sets, demand going up? I'm under the impression everyone is trying to find the new base set in comparison. I would say, Jonathan, it really just comes down to the fact of the matter that when you talk about a lot of the PSA blocks, people sent in out of the most amount of cards graded, I think it was the unlimited era. So it really just comes down to what you're referencing. If you're talking about the unlimited era of base set, oh yeah, the amount of cards in the block that got graded for PSA, it greatly, because that was a large portion of people's collection that they held on to as a kid. And obviously you saw an influx of 9s, 10s, 8s, 7s, and a bunch of junk slabs. So in regards to modern sets, obviously, PSA for, I want to say starting with battle styles, that's when they were closed for opening. So a lot of them are really low pop. Now, if you're talking about Hidden Fates, if you're talking about Champion's Path, those kind of, later Sun and Moon era sets, earlier Sword and Shield era sets, obviously it's a different story completely. But I would say that even then, you take a look at the Champion's Path Charizards and how many are printed and how much it's valued at. I mean, you can get the 10 for slightly more of what you can actually get. And we can take a look at this as well on Champion's Path. I feel like that's a good one to take a look at. Champion's Path has several thousand just in the... I hate it when it does this. just several thousand just in the PSA population report. So if you take a look at, let's say, like the Rainbow Charizard, right? The Rainbow Charizard has gained a decent amount of value. It went from 158 all the way up to now 247. That's like $100 almost, right? And then if we go to eBay and we take a look at the Charizard VMAX Secret, and let me say Charizard VMAX Secret, rare PSA 10, and then we see what that is selling for currently. You can buy it now in a PSA 10 for $445. Let's see if you can get it for any cheaper. Let's look at just sold items, right? Recently sold listings. 44, 449, 47, 450, 445, 435. I mean, you can get it for as low as $400. I mean, if you're telling me right now, raw, you're buying it in your mint condition for as low as like $200 almost, and you're saying right now I can spend double the money just to get it in a slab and guarantee it, like that's unheard of. Like that's unheard of. Like that you're saying in a slab, it's only going to get double value, right? Versus you take a set like, let's just say level X, right? Let's just take a level X, for example, and let's take a look at what's a one that I know for a fact is not extremely high. Let's do this Palkia GX level X, right? Let's say this one. You can get it for as cheap as around 17, 20 bucks, right? And then you say to yourself, Palkia level.x PSA 10. And maybe this is a bad comparison, but personally speaking, I think it is. You're talking about the Japanese version selling for $460, the English version selling for $600, you know, as low as $378. Like, you're talking about the fact of the matter, it's actually not a bad deal. Really, I need to follow this card more. But in the PSA 9 selling for, you know, 4 or 5x more compared to if you just bought it raw, like that's insane value in my personal opinion compared to what you're looking at with ultra modern value. Obviously this is an older card, but you can buy this card for this cheap now, you know, and I'm saying this cheap now, but guys, it was at one point, this card was selling for, I remember I was buying it for $3, $4, and this was 2 years ago. Like I was buying this card for dirt cheap. So I do think this is a pretty good comparison. And you can probably look to a lot of the same argument for other older sets, but that's where I would say when talking about the value of comparing it, the returns on the PSA graded at least, especially when comparing it to ultra modern, I think it's still outweighed it. And even with the you know, amount in population, you're just seeing specifically base set, still a large amount was flooded in, and so it really did flatline for a while there. And I think some of them are starting to go up, but you know, obviously it's a little bit different of a story with ultra modern, considering the population report for ultra modern is so high. And I mean, I want to do this quickly because I don't want to get too behind on chats. So, but we'll go to just PSA and we'll just go to pop report just so I can make the point that I'm making right now on like Champion's Path. If we just take a look under Champion's Path, what the population report is for the overall Charizards. In the PSA 10 condition for the Full Art VMAX Charizard that I had mentioned, there's 8,378. So it just really goes to show you how much there is compared to, you talk about base set, you just say base set Pokemon, and we just go to 1999, 2000, 1999, not packs. Oh, this is what I was annoyed about. Let's just say Pokemon base set. Just say base set unlimited, see if this pops up. Here we go. This should pop up. All right, so we take a look at the Charizard, for example. So the Charizard, obviously the non-first edition, you've got about 7,008, 6,009. So the population on that, when comparing it to obviously the Champion's Path, is a lot different when you look at how many 10s there are in comparison still. There's a reason why the 10 value compared to the 9 value so much. And look at that. Look at that, 32,500 graded. 32 freaking 1,500 graded. That's insane. That is insane. 32,500 graded. I mean, obviously, why is this no longer popping up? Oh, it's because I didn't have the asterisk, right? I mean, obviously, when you're talking about it, 32,500 graded, right? I mean, we're talking about, that's a set that's been around forever. And this is at about a third of that. But of course, that's a set that's been around forever, and it's already reached a third of that within the span of a year or 2 years. So just saying that's something to consider. Yeah, don't be an idiot and buy without any sort of plan from Pokemon Protection. Yeah, 100% agree with you, Matt Miller. It's a sad truth. What are your thoughts on Prime cards and what are your favorite ones? Oh, I love that you mentioned that, Sad. I love Prime cards. I love Prime cards. Prime cards are so sick, dude. They are so sick. So I would say some of my favorite ones. I mean, it's hard not to love the Umbreon. I'm a huge fan of Feraligatr. I'm a huge fan of Tyranitar. I love the Celebi. I love the Meganium. I love the Ursaring. Ursaring was one of my favorite Prime cards. I think Prime cards are great. I think that for the value in which you're able to buy most of them for, I think they're at a pretty ridiculously cheap price, especially if you're going and buying them right. I mean, I love Prime cards. Man, you just really hit me with that one. Heart Gold, Soul Silver area is one of my favorite areas. I mean, and obviously we're going to bring some exposure to Prime cards. And let's take a look at Celebi Prime and talk about PSA 10 condition for it, see if it pops up. But yeah, the Celebi Prime, I mean, this is going for around $600 is what that's showing. We can take a look and see what it's going for actually is what it sold for. It sold for April in $265, sold in March for $27 or $127. I think that Prime cards are ridiculously cheap in my personal opinion. I think these cards long term should be worth way more. Now, of course, you know, that's a bold statement to make because when you take a look at the value of level X, especially in the Diamond and Pearl era block, up until Stormfront, it's about 1 per box for level X. You're talking about 2 per box on average for the Platinum era. And then you talk about Heart Gold, Soul Silver. You're averaging about 4 of these, I think, a box, if I'm correct, 3 to 4. So the pull rates on them were about double. So maybe it is proportionate, but still, when you're saying Celebi, one of the most high-priced ones, I mean, I shouldn't say one of the most high-priced ones, but when you look at it, it's on the bottom of the first page. Maybe not, but even then, I mean, even if you're talking bottom of the first page, like it's going for as low as $150. That's still ridiculously cheap when you compare it to level X's. And even if you say the lowest of the low for level X's, it's still selling for at least $300 to $400 in a 10 condition. So I would say Prime cards are actually great, and I think they'll do well long term. I think they're highly undervalued, personally speaking. So, but that's just my thoughts. Love that you pointed that out, Sad. But yeah. Modern is affordable, of course it's going to have more demand. Yep, agree. What do you think of Rayquaza Amazing Rares PSA 9 for 19? I think it's cheap, but I think that you could probably get a PSA 10 for not much more if I were to guess. Let's take a look. Amazing Rare Rayquaza PSA 10 selling for around $50 as low as, versus you get the 9 for 10. I would say I'd probably go with the 10, personally speaking. It's only an extra $30. That's just my personal opinion, though, Sad. And I mean, we can take a look at the 9, and you're saying for $19. I mean, you're seeing it sold cheaper at some points, so, and you're seeing it sold more for some points, so I'd say it's right in the middle there. But I like the 10 better. It's all for fun, not seeking financial advice, just enjoying the show, and of course talking about my favorite sets. I appreciate the show. Keep it up, boss. A long-term and a master set guy. Hey, I appreciate you, Jonathan, and that's how it should be at the end of the day. Obviously, I talk about, you know, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. There is a financial aspect to this market, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why I'm collecting a lot of Diamond and Pearl era product. It's because I'm a huge Diamond and Pearl era fan. And people are curious about what I've been picking up recently. I'll show you my prices. Obviously, it won't tell me what I actually like. It won't show me my information on my actual, like, what am I trying to say? I won't show my actual information in regards to my credit card and stuff, but I'll tell you what I've been picking up, guys. I've been going through, I've been trying to pick up some of the old, because people ask me if I like to collect, if I do like to collect the, oh my goodness, why am I saying the theme decks? I'm a huge Diamond and Pearl era, as you guys can see, going through, collecting some of the 9s. Trying to see the ones that are the cleanest. I want to regrade and see about hitting 10s. But yeah, no, I mean, big Diamond and Pearl era fan, guys. And that's just what I'm a huge fan of. That's just the era that I grew up in. All right, that's it. That's the first page. So that's just me personally speaking. Collect what you love. And then long term, if you eventually want to end up leaving the hobby, well, as long as you kept your cards in good condition, you can end up selling a large amount of them for a good price, because at the end of the day, they're going to do well. Hello and good evening. Hello, good sir. Please talk in German because my English is not that good. Thank you. I wish I knew German. I'm so sorry, and Andrea. First off, hello from Germany. I wish I knew how to speak German. So, but shout out to you. Celebrations isn't reprinted. Then would you say it would be by far the best performing? Yes. No question about it. No question about it. I think that Celebrations, and I don't think it's bold to say, if it did not get a reprint right now, it will outperform every set, including Evolving Skies. Don't think it's a bold statement to say that, especially if we're talking the PC exclusive ETBs. And the only reason why I can say that so boldly is just because the value that we've seen out of so many of these individual items, and just historically speaking for specialty sets, have been so strong compared to even the most desirable sets such as Cosmic Eclipse when comparing it. And Cosmic Eclipse was very shortly printed, and Vivid Voltage is very highly printed. Evolving Skies is going to be very highly printed, and of course Brilliant Star is also going to be highly printed. So if it ends right now, you're talking about a high demand set, you're talking about a low print set, you're talking about the value of this product just going up exponentially. So yeah. Do you think we're going to get Champions Path Elite Trainer boxes again? Doubt it, Jory. I think if you do, it's going to be literally within the next month, and we're going to hear about an announcement about it in a month. If not, then unlikely. Purple says, Master sets are great. I'm currently working on Rebel Clash, Crimson Invasion, and Steam Siege. My favorite, yummy. Working on the garbage sets. It's so funny. Hey man, those are the cheapest ones, that's for sure. I've actually looked about doing some cheap ones. Literally Fates Collide is like $150 to master set it. It's great, personally speaking. I like the cheap singles. I think that is great they printed demand, because then you can gain value from collecting the booster boxes long term and sell them for a good price. And then if you want to master sets, you can collect the singles and appreciate both, and it'd be relatively affordable. And Burning Shadows without the Charizard GX, of course. Hey man, get that Charizard GX. But if you don't have the money, I get it. The boom was more so just because all the extra money people. I 100% agree, Sad. I obviously made that point earlier. Do you know if the modern reprints will have an update your reprinted on the card like they do the 4th printed base set? Ooh, that would be sick, Babe Cakes. If they do, I hope so. I think that'd be sick. That's a great question. I don't know. It could be possible if they start going that direction, but I mean, you haven't really seen them do multiple prints the same way they did with, WotC era products. So I would say it's unlikely, but it'd be cool if they did. One last thing to run past you, in my personal opinion. Do you think they will bring back underprinted and underappreciated Vivid Voltage build and battle boxes? Not the big stadiums. I highly doubt it. Historically speaking, we have not seen a reprint for build and battles ever seen reprints for build and battles ever. We've seen old build and battles pop up out of nowhere. So hypothetically, you could see that, because we did see that with Fates Collide. We did see that with Lost Thunder, and you did see that with Steam Siege. But Vivid Voltage, it's hard to say, man. I highly doubt it, but it would be cool if they did. But it's a good question. Okay, you just said exactly what I said. Yeah, Sad. I love how Sad is like, I'm catching up, and Sad said something, and then I'm like, okay, this is where I am in the stream, because I just caught up. I literally said exactly what Sad said. That's so funny. Isn't that always fun to hear when you make a statement, and then I literally already said that, and then you're like, he's behind, but he said exactly what I said. You're like, cool. Always learn the most here. Hey, I appreciate you, Justin. What's your Instagram, bro? My Instagram? Well, I don't have a personal Instagram. I only have the Pokemon USA. I'm not big into social media. I try to stay away from it other than work, personally speaking, just because I think that mentally speaking, I think it's unhealthy from my personal experience. When I've been on social media, I spend a lot of my time wasting it just scrolling through endlessly, and unless I'm being productive, I feel like I'm wasting a large portion of my day. So I focus on sports. I focus on being active outside. And then when it comes to work, that's when I'm usually inside taking care of business. And if I'm on my phone, it's usually listening to podcasts or live streams that I can gain information and knowledge on, whether it be about Pokemon, whether it be about, business, economics, any of the other stuff that interests me. But occasionally I will watch, like an hour of funny videos a day or something. I used to be big into video games, not as much nowadays. I'll play at most an hour a day. But most of the time I try to spend my days outside. But on days like today, when it's, blowing winds and raining, then you can't really go outside and do much. So that's when I'll start to play my video games. VV does not have build and battle steams. Yes, they do not have build and battle steams. Thanks for pointing that out. I didn't want to mess that up. Yeah, they only have the regular build and battles. No, after Logan Paul, come on, bro. No, I would, going back to the argument I made, lockdowns. Is it worth my time to sort through bulk? I have about 20,000 cards easy. I think I actually already answered that question, Thaddeus. I remember I broke it. Let me see if you were the one that asked that question. Let me go through and see. Oh, I can't see it. Dang. Well, regardless of whether you answered the question or not, if you go to the start of the live stream, I mentioned it, but the short answer for that is yes. I did say that I personally felt like it was worth it. So just if you want to restart to the start of the live stream, then you can see that. But I personally think yes, so, and I give my breakdown there. Can we go through the next few sets and expect reprints like on Clearer, Pretty, please? Can you go through the next few sets and expect reprints like on a cleaner? What do you mean by that, John Boy? Do you mean like, are you expecting that, considering the fact that, you know, Millennium Print Group just got purchased, that the sets are going to be cleaner? Is that what you mean? Like the cards are going to be in better condition? Richard says, you can find it there. And what's good about Barnes and Nobles is they limit your purchase, maybe double-edged sword, but you can definitely, yeah, 100%, dude, especially depending upon your area, you can definitely find it. Curious to see what people would pick for the regular ETB showdown. What's your pick? Brilliant Star versus Vivid Voltage, Darkness Ablaze, same at MSRP. Ooh, that's a great question. I would say as it stands right now, Brilliant Star. Say as it stands, Brilliant Star. But to be fair, it's also hard because Vivid Voltage is about to go out of rotation. So Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, it's an easy one for me. Vivid Voltage, I think, is stronger. But Darkness Ablaze will still do great because it is a Charizard set. It's hard because Brilliant Star is not going to go out of rotation for at least another year. So I would say Brilliant Star speaking, it's got like a year behind Vivid Voltage, but I think from a like year-to-year perspective, it'll outperform it personally. I pulled out a few packs, so I won't sell it at all. Umbreon Altart. Oh, I see what you're saying. Hey, dude, shout out to you for pulling the Umbreon. What do you think is a good buy price for the ES Umbreon VMAX Altar? PSA 10s are about $750. Well, I guess the first question with that, Patrick, is are you talking about the individual card, or are you talking about the... Well, I have multiple questions. Are you talking about the individual card ungraded, or are you talking about it graded? Are you talking about the card is saying if you were to purchase it now, or are you talking about purchasing in the future? Those are my couple questions, Patrick, and I'm starting to catch up, so I should be able to answer your question if you want to answer that. I 100% agree with that, Miguel. Yep, I just made that statement. How soon do you think PSA grading will hit its bottom price? Ooh, I was talking to, shout out to Raheem, one of the mods, talking to him about that. He follows the graded market pretty heavily, and he's making a prediction that sometime in November, you'll start to see it really bring it back down in price. Hopefully we could see $20 at the least, you know, like if we can get down to $20, I think that's pretty reasonable. Like $10 obviously preferred, but it's going to be a hard argument to make, especially considering, you know, when you talk about inflation over time. You know, I would, if they could get down to as low as 15, sick. I'm stoked. 20, sure, that's fine. 10, unrealistic, but awesome. But I would say near the end of the year potentially. Hello, what's up, John Mares? Thanks for stopping by. Tyrone Smith, sorry if it's a dumb question, but what's a junk slab? No, that's not a dumb question at all, Tyrone. There's no dumb questions in this. There's no such thing as a dumb question unless it's a dumb question. Just know that, Tyrone. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a dumb question. What is a junk slab? A junk slab is just a term for a slab that's basically not, in some people's eyes, an 8, 9, or a 10, or a 9 and a 10. So anything basically below that, like 7, 6, 5, like cards that are in bad condition, they pull out of binder, centigrade, that's what they got it for. That's considered a jump slab. Palkia comps are nuts. Yeah, dude. It's crazy. Charizard VMAX Darkness Ablaze worth buying or wait? If you're talking about VMAX Darkness Ablaze, personally speaking, Eden, that's probably the cheapest you're going to be buying it for. So that is my answer. After the recent Wise and Wizards of the Coast Rise being graded, do you think that those hauls will rise well in value after most are bought up and have pretty stagnant prices for a while? I think that's pretty accurate, John. I think that as far as it goes right now, obviously you saw the influx of cards being graded, especially when you're talking about, you know, the junk slabs. So I will say that you're probably going to see some stagnation after it bottoms out for the next, you know, year or two after, you know, PSA officially opened up, so much was sent in, and then once it's kind of calmed down and the hype for sending it in has really hit its bottom, I do think that over time they will eventually begin to go up in a pretty nice way, in my personal opinion. So because I would say we really flushed in or flushed out a lot of the collections that were being just held onto and not sent in for grading. So that's my answer. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, of course. I don't know what you're referencing because I'm so but it is. I'm sorry. I wish I knew what you're referencing, Justin. Wow, that's amazing. Are PSA 9s bad to invest in? I just picked up a Gengar Prime PSA 9 for 200. Ooh, this is a great question, Sad. I will say no, and here's my answer as to why. I think one, depending upon the PSA 9 card itself, sometimes the 9s actually outperform the 10. I think a Typhlosion from Neo was a good example of that. 9s were absolutely popping off for a while. However, when talking about is it a bad pickup, one of my favorite arguments that I like to make in regards to why PSA 9s versus 10s are not a bad pickup is because sometimes if you really know what you're doing, you can find those 9s that, and this is just my personal opinion, of course, not financial advice, not financial advisor, but if you can get a 9 for a good price and you look at the card and you inspect it when you're buying it and you see that the card itself has a chance at a 10 and you can crack it open and get a 10, then congratulations, you potentially bought a card at a PSA 9 value or a PSA 9 price, but a PSA 10 value if you do get that regrade. Of course, if you get the card that you bought and you realize pictures didn't show all the flaws, it's just a 9. I do think that holding on to that card is still not a bad point of return long term, because statistically speaking, if you see the value of 10s go up, the 9s are usually going to follow. You know, level X values back in the day, because I follow level X pretty heavily, you're buying, you know, level X 10s at $50. You're buying literally level X 9s for as cheap as like $10, right? And now you're talking to yourself, well, level X 10s are selling for as high as $1,000 and level X 9s are selling for as high as several $100s. So the return were still exponentially great if you did get 9. So from an investment perspective, they're still great. And if you really want to go slab hunting and potentially regrade, I think it's not bad by any means. You just got to obviously understand the risk and how to properly open up a slab, crack it open, and send it in for grading. So I think that's very important. So just something that a lot of people really need to understand, that I know you like the 10s, because I personally like the 10s, and I'm buying 9s because I'm hoping to get the 10s, but that's just the way in which I like to look about it. And at the end of the day, if I get it at a great price either way, I do think it'll be a good long-term investment. Yeah, shout out to Patrick. Patrick, 100%. Shout out to Sad on the primes. Do you think it's worth collecting the Fire Red Leaf Green packs to keep sealed? I have many playthroughs of Fire Red since it came out when I was 8, and by still by far my favorite game. I think collecting any sort of EX era, Level X era, Hard Gold Soul Silver era, WotC era packs, I think those are great investments long term. Just make sure you keep them sealed, and you make sure you seal them properly. By keeping them sealed, I mean talking about like putting it in one of the plastic like BGS things. Perfect example of that. Sorry for stepping away for a second. What I mean by that is like one of these plastic casings. If you can keep it in one of the plastic casings, it's really nice to display. It's better for keeping the card in the kind of, you know, condition you don't want it to get scratched. Obviously, as you can see right now, this is a pretty minty condition in regards to the Great Encounters pack. So keeping it in that condition is great. And honestly speaking, if you can weight the pack and you know there's not going to be a hollow, if you want to open it, if you don't want to open it, then that's obviously up to you. But personally speaking, I would love to eventually, because like I said, this is in really minty condition, send it into grade for PSA and really display it. So, but I do think that there is a lot of value in regards to collecting art sets or just collecting just general cards from that kind of era. And I can keep going on and on about collecting art sets, but I know I have a lot of people ask me, hey Eli, do you have any individual single like packs that you're willing to like sell to me? And that's just for literally ultra modern sets. So you best be believing they're going to do it for the EX era as well. So I think that's great, Timothy, that you have some of those packs. Oh my goodness gracious. What's a good card to invest in now? John, that is such a loaded question because there are so many cards that are good to invest in now. If you could specify which kind of era, that'd be great. Is Team Up good to invest in or too expensive? I would say it really depends on what you're looking for, Yamamoto. I think it's not... Are you talking about the sealed product? Are you talking about the cards? I think the sealed product will perform well long term, but then you also have to talk about the price at which is at right now versus the price in which you can get other items at cheaper. And do I think exponentially some other items could perform better? Personally, yes, I do think they could. Is that to say that Team Up is not going to perform good at all? Of course not, because I do think it was a highly desirable set. It was a highly low printed set, and so it's going to do well. So in regards to do I think it is a good investment? I don't think it's a bad investment, but do I think it is a little expensive and you can find value in other areas? Yes, I do. What's up, Ricardo? Thanks for stopping by, brother. What's up, my dude? Hopefully all is well. What do you think about Walmart GameStop exclusive premium collections? I think these will do really well. I 100% agree. I do think they will do extremely well. I'm a huge fan of the collections for Walmart, GameStop exclusives. Obviously, I've talked a lot about the gold card, so I think they'll do well. What's up, Stony? Any XY sets being reprinted? Not at all, good sir. The only XY packs that you can find are from basically repackaged old XY product, putting in newer set stuff. Hey, you're all good, Thaddeus. Don't say sorry to ask again. You're all good about it, brother. Don't worry about it. In the future, like after reprints for graded slabs, let me go back. I did ask, Patrick asked the question. So what do you think is a good price to buy the Umbreon VMAX Altard R? PSA 10s are at about $750. And then once again, going back to it, in the future, like after reprints for graded slabs? Great question. Oh, that's a great question, Patrick. If you're talking graded slabs, I think it's going to be a ways away, personally speaking, before you see it really be a good opportunity. And the only reason why I say that is because if we go to right now, the population report for Evolving Skies, and we just take a look at how many have been graded. And please, 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 please understand this and take this into consideration. This card, Full Art Umbreon VMAX Secret. Is that the alternate art? Yeah, it's the alternate art. You're talking about the fact that the Umbreon VMAX Secret. So this is Full Art Umbreon VMAX. This is the Full Art Umbreon VMAX. The regular one. There's about 692 that are in PSA 10 condition. And you might say to yourself, wow, that's a lot, Eli, to be graded. But considering the fact that we just saw that from Champions Path there was 8,000, I would not be surprised if this, within, the next year after PSA reopens at a bulk discounted price, I would not be surprised to say if this would eventually hit 10,010. 10,000 in a 10 condition. Not surprised at all. Not even surprised in the slightest. Considering we saw Champions Path do that with the Charizard, and this is even a more desirable set, easy money. And if this hits 10,000 versus there's only 692 right now, that's so few for Ultra Modern. So I would say you're about a ways away from really getting it at a cheap price. And I would say, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if in the future you could see it for as low as 400 or 500 for a 10. Obviously this is a ways away, and this might sound like a bold prediction, but 692, and we just talked about, what we had for Champions Path, and I know I just reiterated this like 10 times, but I think it's something to point out, personally speaking. I meant like on a calendar, what do you expect to come out in the next few months? Oh, John Boy. Okay, that's what you were referencing, John Boy. Thank you for that. So let me go back real quick. Can you go through the next few sets and expected reprints? That's what you mean. Yes, I can go through it. So the expected items to get reprinted in the next few months, or the expected items to come out. Vivid Voltage Elite Trainer boxes. These are expected to have either released by some people now and some distributors in the next couple weeks. That's going to be the next one. End of the month, we're going to be having the Arceus figure collections come out. Also, the spring collection tins are going to be coming out. We are also as well, most people have probably already seen it by now, but the Bolton boxes also have just come out. We're also should see the Eevee tins have already come out, if not are also coming out now. Obviously we've got Astral Radiance coming out at the end of May 27th, and then we also have, I think that's it. I might be missing one, but as far as it goes right now, John Boy, that's as far as I know what we have for the next month of April and May. I'm trying to plan my fun money for the next few months. Yeah, dude, I totally understand. Yeah, Vivid Voltage ETBs, personally speaking, as well as the the Arceus figure collection are going to be my two biggest pickups, right next to, of course, the Astral Radiance items. But I think raw card of the Umbreon Altard are selling as much as the PSA 9. Yeah, exactly, Patrick. I mean, that just really goes back to my argument of just talking about how the raw card is so much, like, the value right now of the raw cards for Ultra, like, I mean, this goes back to the argument of the Palkia. You saw the value of the raw Palkia compared to the graded Palkia in a 10, where you see the argument for raw single versus the PSA 10. Just goes back to the argument that I make of, Ultra Modern is really, really, in regards to singles, it's really inflated. So, do you expect VV to get another booster box reprint after its ETB reprint? I do not, John. I highly, highly doubt it. Could be wrong, but I highly doubt it. Would you rather open 3 Hidden Fates tins or 6 Champions Path pin collections? That is the easiest question you could have ever given me. That is a softball question, old Greg. If we're talking about I had to choose what I wanted to open, no charge, Hidden Fates tins all day. Not even a question, dude. Hidden Fates is probably one of the most fun sets to open, and Champions Path is probably one of the least fun sets to open. No question about it, dude. Hidden Fates is so fun. Champions Path is Charizard and Machamp. Do you have UPCs for sale, bro? I do not, sadly. I wish I did have UPCs for sale. For sale. Do you know if Battle Styles Pokemon Center ETB sold out and were bought back on the other sites? There's actually no such thing as Pokemon Center ETBs. Now, if you're talking about just the ETBs on the Pokemon Center, if I'm correct, if that's what you're referencing, let's take a look and see. Just want to double check to make sure I know what you're referencing. But yeah, no, these are just regular Pokemon Center ETBs. I think that it's possible they were sold out and then brought back onto the site after they had a reprint, because there actually was an ETB reprint when they did do booster box reprints for Battle Styles. So I would say that's definitely entirely possible, and they haven't sold out since then. Pokemon Go set, hit or miss. I'll probably not touch anything for now. There's nothing been confirmed about it, Ricardo, so I wish I could answer, but I'm still waiting right now. Thinking around XY era or Battle Styles era, since it's going to be out of rotation next year. John Mayer. You asked me a question the first time, right? John Mayer. Mraz? Is there a question that you asked me that I missed? Is there a question that you asked me I missed? Thinking around XY era or Battle Styles era, since it's going to be out of rotation next year. What is that in reference to? Am I really missing it again? John Mraz. Oh, what's a good card to invest in right now? That's what your question was. Okay, thank you. I just found it. So you're thinking around XY era or Battle Styles era, since it's going to be out of rotation next year. Cards. What's good cards? If you're talking about in that era, you said XY era. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a big era. That's a very big era. Are there cards that I think are good investments in that era? This might sound like such a boring answer to give, but I think a lot of the evolution characters are extremely undervalued. Personally speaking, if you're talking about the XY era. Now, I know a large amount of them were printed, but take a look at, let's say, Fates Collide, for example. So if we go to the set like Fates Collide, and we go to 2016, Fates Collide, right? And then we go all the way down and we look at, say, like you got the full art Alakazam Secret 172. And then you've got the full art Umbreon, that's the Portuguese, please ignore that. Full art Umbreon EX. The standard EX has about a population of 140. That is an extremely low population. And you say to yourself, well, how expensive is the card? And going to Fates Collide. The Fates Collide card, high to low, it is currently selling for, at most $28. You could probably find it cheaper other places. Obviously, you're not seeing a large amount of them on here. And of course, the value in the past 3 months has, gone up quite a large amount. But even then, like, I would say Umbreon EX Full Art Fates Collide, you're able to get the PSA 10 population, for, relatively cheap, I would say, when talking about it. But if we're talking singles, you could probably find the single in good condition for around $20-25. And what's the 10 selling for? We can look at 10 and see what the 10 selling for. 10 selling for around $279, $310. If you can get a nice 10 or a potential 9, and you're telling me right now, right, you're able to buy a potentially 9 to 10 for $25, you're walking away with great money. So I do think that there's a lot of items in the XY era specifically that are undervalued because the low amount of print. I mean, let's talk about Alakazam Secret Rare. Obviously, we just went through and we just looked at the amount that are currently in. 172 for the Secret Rare. And you're talking about, once again, 314, 385. You go back to what the value of it's going for currently, it is less expensive than the Umbreon itself. So, I think there's a lot of cards that are undervalued. I mean, we go the Glaceon EX, right? Let's go with the Glaceon. And there's about 90 in a PSA 10. So we go Flart, Glaceon EX, Fates Collide. You're telling me this card in a PSA 10, obviously this one sold for 405. Let's see if there's an actual, accurate one. This is on bid. You can buy it now for 150. Personally speaking, I think that for the population in which you can buy a lot of these at, I think they're very undervalued, especially when you're talking about these are some of the most desired cards in that kind of block of XY era, and they're evolutions. And I think evolution cards, when you have crazy evolution collectors that are willing to spend thousands of dollars on old evolution cards that are in the population under 100, and then you have ones that are in under 100 population right now, I mean, obviously there's an argument to be made that like a large amount of them will get sent in for grade, but why wouldn't they have done that within this past year or two, especially from XY? Now, I could be 100% wrong on that, but I think the characters, a lot of these character cards you can still get for pretty cheap, and the XY era block is still very much low graded block. And I mean, if you want to talk about, say, evolutions, obviously that's your counter argument, but we're not talking about evolutions. We're talking about Fates Collide. We're talking about Breakpoint. We're talking about Furious Fists. We're talking about Phantom Forces. A lot of these XY era cards that were undervalued, and they just don't have a large amount of them that were sent in for grading. So I think you can find a lot of value in the XY era, personally speaking. You can find a decent amount of value in Sun and Moon. But XY, man, I mean, if we just want to go, I'll do this one more time and then I'll keep going on. But if we want to go back to XY era, and let's take a set like, what do I think is a good set to kind of look at? Let's not look at Flashfire. Let's not look at all these kind of huge, massive sets. Let's take a look at a set like... Do I want to look at Phantom Forces? No idea if I want to look at Phantom Forces. I really liked Fates Collide. Fates Collide was a perfect example in my opinion. Let's look at a set like Breakthrough. Yeah, let's take a look at a set like Breakthrough. And you take a look and you say the most desired card right now is the Mewtwo EX Secret Full Art, right? We go right now, PSA 10. And you say to yourself, Mewtwo EX. Let's see if this pops up. Yep, so this card right now you can buy it for $400, $359. The card itself go for probably as low as, look, $268 back in February. You can find this card for relatively cheap. Now let's go with Breakthrough. Breakthrough. Dang it, I can't spell. There we go, Breakthrough. Go to XY Breakthrough. This was 160, I think was the number. Full Art Mewtwo, about 187. Yeah, still under 200 population. I think a lot of these cards are definitely undervalued that you could probably find in a pretty decent condition. And I know a lot of people are saying to themselves, like Eli, $40 for potentially hitting a 9. And here's the thing, guys, and this is what I want to make very clear. From my personal experience shopping on both TCG Player, shopping on both eBay, I have found opportunities. You have to search for these opportunities. They're not just all going to pop up. But I have found opportunities where I have found PSA 9 graded level X cards. I have found PSA 10 graded XY era, Sun and Moon era cards. And this is within the last year that I sent in for grading. and they got these 9s and 10 grades, and I got them on TCG, I got them on eBay. And so for those people that are like, Eli, TCG, it's a scam. You could never find cards that are not in good condition, otherwise people would have sent it in for grading. Well, this tag team card I bought not that long ago, bought it for, I want to say $13 is how much I bought it for at the time. This was back in the end of 2020, I want to say. And this is Unified Minds. And the current valuation of this card as we currently speak, like I said, I bought it for around 13. It's about almost doubled in value, just the raw card. Bought this, like I said, $13, straight from TCG Player. Sent it in, graded a 10, and I was stoked with it. I was very excited with it. And I mean, you can probably take a look and say, how much is this card worth right now speaking? Garchomp, Secret, Rare, PSA 10. The PSA 10 condition one, I mean, look at how cheap you can find it as right now. You can find it for literally as cheap as $76. So it's a cheap card to be able to grade, obviously, and you're able to send in, and that's part of the Sun and Moon era. So, you know, you can find these cards obviously more common in Sun and Moon era, but personally speaking, the XY era is going to be where you're going to be wanting to look for these things. But that's just my personal opinion. So, who knows? I could be 100% wrong, but I just like there's a lot of opportunity in XY. But that was a big old ramble. I apologize about that. Sorry, I've not caught so many live streams recently. The videos are amazing as ever. Hey, I appreciate that, Joshua. Seriously, I appreciate you, brother. Just like we see Fusion Strike PC ETBs were brought back on site. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think it's entirely possible, John. I do think so. Sad, thanks for answering my question. Love the stream videos. I got to go see you later. Hey, appreciate you stopping by. It's always sad. Great answer. Yeah, of course, Yamamoto. Do you think product like Roaring Skies sleeve boosters are a good product to invest in for sealed? I do think that when talking about sleeve boosters, I don't think they're a bad investment for XY era newer, but I think they're the best investment for anything in the block where weighable cards were most important. That's where the sleeve blisters were important, because that was the introduction to them. The purpose was so that, to my knowledge, the purpose of them was so that they were, of course, going to be on the shelves. Easier to kind of display, and then obviously long term the reason why they've held greater value is just because the weighability of them is a lot harder. So I think they'll do fine, like Roaring Skies will do fine for sleeve blisters, but you're not gonna see the same level of premium if it's not a weighable set. But like the video, of course I know what you meant, Joshua, but yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Don't forget about that Professor Juniper box. Thank you, Koga. Yes, Professor Juniper box is coming up. Thank you. Forgot about that. It's going to be like the Milk Marnie, but with Professor Juniper. Know where I can get I wish I knew, Zach. I wish I knew, because I'd be right there with you. Just found out that my bowling team won the Fall Spring Bowling League with a big playout. If you had $300. Hey, first off, shout out to Timothy for being a baller. I'm not that bad at bowling, but I'm not that good at bowling. I think I bowled. Last time I bowled was a couple weeks ago. It was like the first time I bowled in like a couple months. I bowled a 168, which for me that's like pretty good, but for some people they're like, oh, easy 200 every time or you're bad. Like, but shout out to you, dude. If you had $300 to drop, what would you get? Mention Fire Red Leaf Green packs. Well, that's hard, dude. You're asking what would I get? I would get Diamond and Pearl era stuff. We're talking personal collection. If you're talking about sealed investment, then I'd probably get some PC ETB boxes. Wait, are those sold out? I just realized. No, they're still available. I'll grab some PC ETB boxes, grab some Shining Fates boxes, gonna grab some Voltage boxes, I grab some Arceus figure collection boxes. That's kind of the direction I would go, personally speaking. So if we're talking about to invest in, but fun stuff, big fan of obviously the Diamond and Pearl era, so for my own personal collection. But if you're a big fan of Fire Red Leaf Green, then I don't blame you for that one, especially if that's your favorite set of all time, or game of all time for Pokemon. So that's just go with what you love, dude. Who was the other John Doe here? Was there? Have you ever seen Pokemon take so long to reveal a set like what's going on with Astral Radiance? Brilliant Star took forever. That's for sure. Reveal a set? Ooh, no, not to my knowledge. No, they took forever. They took forever with this set. No, not at all. Not at all, John Doe, but that's because the sets are getting so much bigger and bigger, and Japan breaks down their sets that we're literally getting the cards in this set are sets that have been broken down from 3 different sets from Japan. VMAX Climax, and then the other 2 Japanese sets that just came out that I can't think of off the top of my head. But all right, so I'm gonna go through and answer everyone's questions, but we've already broken over 2 hours. That's kind of how I like to do it. So I'm gonna go through quickly, answer everyone's question, and that'll be it for the end of the day. Haven't given my spiel, so don't forget, leave a like, comment down below, be subscribed to the YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone stopping by as always. We're doing a break for Cosmic Eclipse this upcoming Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to partake in that, you know, go onto our website, Pokemon USA. Link should be in the description down below. But I'm buying the booster box and selling the packs for cheaper than what I bought them for. So making sure you guys get a good deal. Happy to catch another live Q&A. Hey, I appreciate you for stopping by, Courtney. Is Brilliant Stars done with reprints, or can we expect another one in the future? 100%. We're 100. Dad, the set came out in February, and the set doesn't go out of rotation for at least another 1.5 to 2 years. So we can definitely expect another reprint. What would you recommend buying? Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, or just trying to consider possibility of reprints? I would say that they're both still more than likely going to get a reprint. It's entirely possible, Pika Pika, but I would say if you're talking about which one to buy better, I would say Alternate Art Tyranitar from Battle Styles is really strong, but also if you got the Blaziken, this is really strong, and the Moltres is really strong. So it's really hard to say because there's specific ones that I would buy. So I can't say I would much rather buy this one over another, and they're both just as likely to get reprinted. So just because they're still in rotation. So because a lot of people were like surprised when Battle Styles got reprinted, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it got reprinted again and up until 2023 because it's still a standard format, and they care about their competitive scene more than they care about the collectability side. Yeah, John Doe, how dare you take my given name? There's seriously 2 John Does? What the frick? That's so funny. Are there actually? That's crazy. Oh my god, there's 2 John Does in the chat? That's hilarious. I got so confused. John Doe would ask a question and then another John Doe would ask it. Oh my god, that's hilarious. There's 2 John Does. Pink versus gray, they are showing the same color on my end. That's hilarious. Ricardo, I got you, Eli. Thanks for the pre-order right now on the Pokemon Go Lead Trainer boxes. Yeah, of course, brother. Like I said, so much speculation. There's not much more info. Hoping to see some more info, that's for sure, before I start putting in my pre-orders. There's other products also, just not booster boxes. Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, Eli, I'm looking to pick up a Charizard SV from Hidden Fates. What are your thoughts on the price point of around $900? I think that's about the going price point for right now. We can talk about... you said Charizard SV. I assume you meant GX. Charizard GX Hidden Fates PSA 10. Let's take a look and see. Shiny Charizard GX PSA 10. So you can buy it for literally right now $900. So you can buy it for $900 currently speaking. If we look at the recently sold listings, it went for, it looks like, as low as 800, 870, 520 for a 9.5. I would say if you can get it for 800, that's what I would go for personally, Alex. I'll confess it was the police that named me John Doe. That's funny. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it as always, John. Hey, what's up, Gabby? Thanks for stopping by. We're about to sadly wrap things up. I appreciate you for stopping by. Hopefully you'll make the next stream. Do you think the Marnie milk box will gain more value compared? Yes, 100%. I do think so because Marnie is a highly, highly, highly desired character from what we've seen so far. Juniper, not so much. So yeah, I do. Hey, what's up, Tone5Kicks? Thanks for stopping by. Sadly, you're the last comment that I'm getting to, and I'm now all caught up on comments, and I'm now sadly about to end the live stream. But we do live stream Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sometimes a little bit later at 12:30 or 1 at the latest. And then we have our upcoming break stream for Cosmic Eclipse. We still have about half the booster box available, I want to say. That'll be upcoming this Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so make sure to check that out. But yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, this is our just Q&A opportunity for the videos that I pre-record Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So appreciate everyone stopping by. Make sure, once again, leave a like, comment down below, be subscribed if you want to enter into our weekly giveaways. We are giving away 12 Brilliant Star booster packs to 3 different people. So 1 booster box a week. And we're only at 2,600 subs about now. So still a large opportunity to win. And you can enter in by commenting and liking on all 3 of the videos we post. So multiple opportunities to enter, multiple opportunities to win. So just saying it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys all so much once again for stopping by. So happy to be back. Seriously, I am so happy to be back. I really missed a lot of you guys. Missed all of you guys, honestly. So missed even the haters, but it's good to be back. And yeah, I'm excited for next Thursday, and of course I'm excited to open up the booster box. And I'll show you too, guys, as well. This Cosmic Eclipse booster box that I purchased, it's a clean cut. It's a very clean booster box, so I'm excited to be getting into it. I think it'll be really good. I think it'll be a really fun one, especially considering how great Cosmic is as a set. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching.